I am so damn excited. My favorite summer movie of all time, it's a movie I absolutely love and find abhorrent and terrible all at once, is Star Wars Episode 1 of Phantom Menace. There's something about it that is so summary, I can barely even explain. So just to have a justification for watching this whole damn thing again, I am going to turn it into a video somehow, some way. So hopefully some of you others have a similar affection for this ridiculous piece of work, and we can have a little bit of fun while we're watching it. But yeah, this is Star Wars Episode 1, A Phantom Menace by George Lucas. And one thing I want to say ahead of time is there are directors. There are some directors who are great at everything. There are some directors who are great at almost everything. They have a couple of weaknesses, but that's it. And then there are directors who are only good at one thing, and that's the only thing they can do. And when they try to do other things in addition to it, their work turns out absolutely horrendous. So George Lucas is one of those directors. He is absolutely incredible at one thing very specifically. Like Zack Snyder, he is terrible at everything related to storytelling, but he is good at visuals. His movies look very cool and interesting. And then George Lucas, terrible at everything else, but the world building is incredible. So hopefully going through this, you will see some of the weaknesses, but we'll also see some of the strengths. The reason that this has so much more staying power and resonance than something like the sequel trilogy. So yeah. That'll be it for an intro. Now let's go. This is not a joke. I actually did write a script for a video that was 2 hours on the first sentence of the opening crawl of The Phantom Menace. I was just like, okay, I'm going to talk about everything that I want to talk about related to this movie and everything that could come up that's related to Star Wars in general. And it was a 2 hour long script, and I started making the video, but then I was like, it was gonna take like 40 hours to make the thing. So I stopped, and I was like, there's no way anybody on earth would ever watch this, and decided to just go back to Dragon Ball. But I am happy to at least be talking about some of the stuff that I want to talk about now for The Phantom Menace, but we are not going to spend a whole bunch of time on the opening crawl. It starts with turmoil has engulfed the Galactic Republic, which one of the things that you'll notice about this is that is a macro description of the world. The next sentence mentions taxation, which is like, instant nap time. But it's dealing with the macro idea, the macro pieces that are being moved around an actual world that has different parts that have different interests, and that's where the emphasis is. It's not just talking about the heroes of the story and so superficial or narcissistic on that front. It actually cares about what's going on in the world, even though there are a lot of goofy things about it. It's still that's what it's emphasizing at this moment. Okay, so like I said, we've already got the Galactic Republic. We know that's the system, the governmental system, that has some kind of an interest. We've got the planet of Naboo. We've got the Trade Federation. Those have discordant interests in this world. We have a Congress that's part of the Republic, and there's already some concern over them just debating about this, not being able to handle it. You've got a Supreme Chancellor who is trying, it says secretly, dispatch some Jedi, which suggests that there's some contrary interest to sending Jedi to do this kind of thing. And then you've got the Jedi Knights themselves, who are apparently just guardians of peace and justice in the galaxy, which you don't know yet whether they have their own interests or they're just an arm of the Supreme Chancellor. But like I said, already you've got all these different parts of a world. This is world building, and it's done in an opening crawl, that's obviously iconic for the franchise. But still, this is legitimately decent writing. Not even just decent, this is legitimately good structural writing. It's not very interesting when it comes to the actual rhetoric or the word usage or necessarily the emotional context or anything like that. But when it comes to the idea of the structure behind what's being written, it's actually really good.
With all due respect.
Seriously, even just hearing the sounds of the voices, like the little kid who's the captain apparently, which is really odd. Just hearing the voice of the kid brings back so many memories. It's ridiculous. I remember seeing this in the summer and just having so much fun, even though even at that age I was like, this is kind of dumb. There's some dumb things going on here, but it hits me as the summer movie, with the excitement around it, being the first Star Wars back and all the things that happened find in it that we'll come to. This really hit me as the ultimate summer movie, and I still have those feelings, those nostalgic summer feelings related to it. So again, I don't know why it was like a child who was the captain or whatever, but you saw the iconic design of the ships, which was it's unique. It's something I hadn't seen before. I'm not sure if it necessarily has something sinister behind it, to match the Trade Federation, but still, it was something really unique to see as a spaceship, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. That shot, my God, that shot was such a CG orgy. I remember when I first saw this, I thought, geez, that was a little too much. You had a little too much going on, where in every aspect of the scene, the foreground, midground, background, it's all just filled with random CGI elements that don't seem to really have a purpose to be anywhere. Just some of them turn around and look. That's about it. So that wasn't great staging.
Make yourselves comfortable.
Hello there.
My master will be with you shortly.
Reveal! We have the reveal. Ewan McGregor, a while ago. It's an excellent actor. Liam Neeson, excellent actor. And just to have them playing Jedi, that was definitely one of the biggest frustrations of the whole movie, is just that you have two fantastic actors that don't have a lot to do with this script, because the script doesn't really know what the personalities are of either of these, and they don't fit the archetype you'd expect them to fit, with Liam Neeson being the experienced wise Jedi and Ewan McGregor being the inexperienced Padawan or whatever. You would expect them to act in opposite ways a lot of the time. So it's goofy, but I love seeing both of these actors in this situation. Ewan McGregor, one of my favorite. He's done some incredible work. And Liam Neeson, that guy, wow, he has had a hell of a career.
But not at the expense of the moment. Be mindful of the living force, young Padawan. Here's
another thing, and it's actually something that happens in that most recent show that I love so much. The Acolyte. And it's just a bad writing trope where you have characters who know each other already, and they're supposed to have a long history together, but they have conversations that are things that they should have already talked about a million times or just happen to be coming up now. So you have to, as a writer, you have to be careful about how you incorporate those kinds of things into your writing. And there are clever ways to be able to do that. There are skilled ways to be able to do that and to use different kinds of characters or situations to make it natural for it to come out. But most of the time, obviously, you've just got, for bad writers anyway, bad micro writers, you've got them who just plug it in and say whatever.
Distract them. I will contact Lord Sidious.
And yeah, obviously it's pretty weird to have that accent with some strange looking fish guys. But you've already got another aspect of the macro structure where you've got they have to reference somebody else, but they clearly have their own interests, and they're concerned about working the interests of the Emperor or whatever against the Jedi, and they're trying to protect themselves, which is an excellent element to have when it comes to writing these kinds of stories.
I sense an unusual amount of fear for something as trivial as this trade dispute.
And as we will find out, of course, that they tried to kill the Jedi. There's no reason why they shouldn't have just poisoned their drinks here, their tea or blue milk or whatever it is. But instead, they want to use a gas that you can see and hear that it's coming in, which doesn't make any sense.
Kill them immediately.
Yeah, that's pretty intense. It sucks for the two pilot characters who, they got like 3 lines and that was it. And then just, shot to death in the deal. You would think that would raise some kind of suspicions that the ship just showed up there. Certainly they're going to have some kind of contact back home. And if the ship just suddenly explodes and everybody's dead who's related to it, then that's going to be at least a little suspicious. And there it is. It's like a child's version of how you would try to assassinate some Jedi. Would pump in a bunch of gas that is easily seen and heard, rather than poison or some gas that you can't hear or see. Just do a ton of carbon monoxide and leave it at that.
Destroy what's left of them.
And yeah, that's effing hilarious. Destroy what's left of them. Like the droids are just going to saunter in there and shoot up their bodies on the ground. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Even that they would have to send somebody in to check. That doesn't make any sense. They don't have any surveillance on any of these rooms. And just so we could cover this, I actually love the design of these stupid robots, these droids. They have that, they have a comical, they could have been something that was like menacing or something like that. But instead it's comical and it's fun. They have different color coding, and they've got that dumb, summer blockbustery little kids movie voice, and it's just so much fun. It's just fun. It's distinctive. It's fun to look at. Even if it's dumb, it makes it enjoyable. It has some personality, and I think that's going to be the thing that comes out the most, is that so much of what's done in this movie, it shows personality. It has personality. It's memorable, instead of the kind of schlock that we get now when it comes to Star Wars. Cut through him like butter. Isn't that what he said about him?
This is impossible!
That's impossible. I always loved the musical flourish at that moment when he's going through the door, where he's sticking the thing in there. I don't know, there was something like tiny epic about the situation at the moment. I always loved it.
Master, destroy us!
As everybody's pointed out, why they have a super sprint right there for some reason that they never use again. What was the point of having that? Why not, I don't know, they just roll out of the way or something. It's just so weird that they have that super, it looks like it's an error in the video, in the film or something, but they just super sprint right now to get away from the droid decals, and that was the only time. It's really odd.
They've gone up the ventilation shaft.
And yeah, so like I said, George Lucas is great at macro world building, not micro storytelling. We've got to warn the Naboo by going down to the planet with the invasion force. It seems like it's going to be a little late if you just roll kind of up with the invaders and let them know that they're being invaded. That is pretty stupid, but still delightful.
Beware, Viceroy. The Federation has gone too far this time.
I still don't know to this day. So she's got kind of a weirdly deep voice. Was that actually Natalie Portman? In that, it looked like her, but her voice was weirdly deep. And I know, obviously, we do the whole decoy thing going forward. But I think maybe she has that voice when she has that sad face later when she's talking to like the Senate or something. I can't remember. That must have been her though, right? It looked too much like her, but her voice was just it was oddly deep.
But we must move quickly to disrupt all communications down there.
A communications disruption can mean only one thing: invasion.
It doesn't. That's not the only thing that could mean. It could mean you didn't pay your bill. It could mean that the tech is just failing. It could mean a lot of things other than invasion, you freaking goofball. So that's that writing. Okay.
Our security volunteers will be no match against the battle-hardened Federation army.
Wait, did he say that they don't even have an army? They just have security volunteers? Oh, that's pretty weak sauce. What kind of a monarch are you that you don't even raise an army to be able to defend yourself against donut airships? That's just odd. Yeah, in all honesty, after having seen the sequel, I haven't seen all the sequel trilogy. I only watched 2 of them. After The Last Jedi, I was done. I didn't need to see anymore. But after seeing those and coming back here, you really appreciate the design on this stuff. Like the goofy tank, the floating tank things, and the droids and the weapons and all that. There's just a lot of, care and interest was gone into creating these things to make them not just, they're space robots, but to have some kind of a personality that makes sense for this kind of a movie, that's going to be appealing to all ages and demographics and still be fun to look at. So I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, all the things. Yeah, I'm not going to argue against or contradict the things. It's a ridiculous accent that is definitely borderline, and the design of the character ridiculous. He's a funnier character than we've ever had. There's just a lot of goofy things about this whole deal.
Grind us into tiny pieces and blast us into oblivion.
It's just it's goofy writing. It's like, so now they happen to run into this guy. They were just on foot trying to warn the Naboo of an invasion, and they happen to run into this guy, and he happens to be from a city that's at the planet core so they could go directly through that right after the invading army happened to land on the opposite side, and no recon anything, the opposite side of the planet, mind you, and no recon anything could have noticed an entire invading force that was coming down to the planet. It's, yeah, no, it's odd. It's really odd. And lucky they have magical breathing devices for this particular excursion, because obviously you don't leave home without it. But again, it's the macro storytelling. You do have these people, I forget what they call the Gungans, and they have their own interests relative to the Naboo, even though, isn't the planet called Naboo? I haven't seen this in so long, it's ridiculous. But I think, yeah, I think the planet's called that, so it's just named after the one race, even though there are at least two races on here. I don't know. But these guys, they have their own interests relative to the other ones, so that's, again, it's more macro storytelling, even though the micro doesn't do so great. What is everybody doing around? Like, what part of their day is going on here? And what's in those ball things? It looked like they're just empty orbs that you just go stand in. What is the point of those?
You are in big doo-doo this time.
A droid army is about to attack the Naboo.
What happens to one of you will affect the other. You must understand this.
How would Obi-Wan know this? How would he have any knowledge of how their internal politics work, or would it matter if maybe the Trade Federation just wants to take over the Naboo people and will leave all these guys, the Gungans, alone? Gungans are just down here. Maybe they just eat fish or something, even though they kind of look like fish. But so maybe they don't have similar interests to the Naboo, but Obi-Wan's talking like he already knows, like he studied up before he came down here. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
The plan at core. Your gods demand that his life belongs to me now.
And I get that, Jar Jar said earlier that, oh, well, I owe you a life debt now or whatever. But it again is like weird that, what's dude's name? What is the guy's name? Like the other Jedi. There's Obi-Wan and Jack or something. What is his name? Why can't I think of his name? I don't know. Whatever. He also acts like he knows how their whole religion works now. Your gods demand that he owes me a life debt. It's really odd familiarity that they have with this race of people they literally just met.
Ye gods! What the Misa saying?
And you've got that adventure movie thing, that not very well written adventure movie thing, where it's like, oh, you have to go through the planet core, and why? Oh, because we need an action beat. And then you have Jar Jar who tries to emphasize, no, it's so scary. And I remember when I first saw this, I didn't understand that he was initially saying, oh, I'd rather stay here, be punished by the Gungans or whatever than go to the planet core because it's so scary. And then he's like, oh, what am I saying? No, I don't want to do that. But there's something in the emotional valence of the scene that just doesn't make any sense in the way that he presents it. So anyway.
You mightn't be saying that.
Oh, my brother used to say that to me constantly. It annoyed the hell out of me.
You'd say, boom de gasser, then crash into Brussels hay blibber.
And I've never known anything about what he said just then. Doesn't that happen twice in this movie? There's always a big... Oh, doesn't it happen twice just like right within this action sequence? Like, I think it cuts to something else for a minute and then it comes back and there's like another it's always a bigger fish moment.
Yes, my lord.
Where is it going?
Don't worry. The Force will guide us.
Didn't he just get Jar Jar to be a navigator? And then he says, don't worry, the Force will guide us? That doesn't make any sense.
Power's back.
Huh?
See? There's always a bigger fish. Awesome. Oh, there's a deleted scene right here where they almost go off the waterfall. So that's Keira Knightley now.
Commander.
Yes, sir.
Process them.
What kind of processing would they need? Like they have to get fingerprinted or something? Gotta take everybody's name? I don't know what they would need to do. That was sick. Like Liam Neeson. Oh, it's Qui-Gon Jinn, isn't it? When he flips the lightsaber away and then just tosses the other two with the force push, whatever. That was sick.
In the main hangar, this way. There are too many of them.
Won't be a problem.
There are too many of them. What are we going to do?
Then I will plead our case to the Senate.
Is that actually Keira Knightley's voice, though? I'm trying to think. Just something that weirds me out about the whole double thing with Padme and the friggin' Queen. It's weird.
You're under arrest.
That's twice that Obi-Wan did the little hop kick, right? He did it like when they first encountered them, and then he just did it again. It's kind of odd. Does anybody know the like range of the force push? Because he force pushed 2 at once, and then he force pushed just the 1 at once. So can it be like a shotgun where it's got a good spread? So you can force push. Like, does it just take more force energy or something? And you can do like a shotgun instead of a targeted one? I'm not sure how that works.
Hello, boyos. How rude.
That's twice, right? It's twice he said how rude. He said it once when he got zapped for no reason at the Gungan place, and then once just then.
That little droid did it!
And that's a fine introduction to R2-D2. It's a little callous that 2 other droids just got massacred and failed miserably and nobody even cares. But then this one particular droid gets anthropomorphized and everybody cares about it now. It's a little odd, but still, you know, fine introduction. Nothing major or anything, but you gotta get introduced somehow.
Here, Master. Tatooine. It's small, out of the way, poor.
Not full of Sith. This man Darth Maul.
Alright, Darth Maul as a character is absolutely amazing, but it's so goofy. Like, he's just standing just off screen, waiting until he's like, okay, I'm gonna say Sith at one point, and then when I say Sith, I want you to step in, okay? It's gonna be really dramatic. It's so stupid. But also, one thing I do want to say is, even though a lot of people criticize the OCD, super pristine look of everything, especially in Coruscant, and even on the sandy Tatooine, it's still got this really clean sheen over everything. I think it's a really, I don't know, it's a recognizable aesthetic, and it's something that makes sense thematically. If you're going to depict a time when the Republic was in power and you had the most peace and all that stuff, then it makes sense to have it be cleaner than afterwards. The aesthetic in the original, 4, 5, and 6, overall, it's better. It looks lived in. It makes it more of a world that seems real, but still, I don't think it's so bad to have all these pristine backgrounds and CG and stuff. It doesn't look that bad.
We should not have made this bargain.
And see, again, it's demonstrating and emphasizing the fact that they have different interests from whoever the antagonist is in general, the Emperor guy. They're concerned about, him getting out of hand, and the Sith guy, Darth Maul, it's because they have their own interests. That's more complex macro writing than you see in a lot of stuff.
Padme.
And so that's Keira Knightley.
Clean this droid up as best you can.
Who, sir, are you, sir?
I'm Padme.
Huh. Misa getting very, very scared.
That was such an awkward look she had to hold for way too long, and I've always thought that when I first saw this movie, I thought the same thing. Like, she just has to stare to kind of reacting to the kind of joke that he made and look like that for a while. It was really odd. It's a good thing we're getting this scene. This is a really important scene.
Stay close to me.
Very, very bad.
Nope, not watching it. Not watching that stupid moment. But I do love the design of this. It looks distinctive. It looks like something that would fit within this kind of a climate. It's memorable. It's something that's stuck around ever since I saw the movie way back when. So I like it.
Ah, yes! Nubian! We have lots of that.
Child asshole.
There he is.
Mitasa
Chupasa.
An angel. I heard the deep space pilots talk about that.
So, one thing to at least point out at this point is that George Lucas seems to be one of the people who does not in any way understand romance or love or women or how any of that whole process works. I'm sure he's married by now and has his children or whatever, but my God, just throughout this entire prequel trilogy... he so consistently demonstrates that he has no understanding whatsoever. It is pretty strange.
You're a pilot? Mm-hmm. All my life.
I always love that delivery for some reason. How there's the delay and then he's like, all my life. I don't know. I always liked it. I don't know why.
My mom and I were sold to Gargula the Hutt.
You're a slave?
And my ex-girlfriend looks exactly like Natalie, like an of-age Natalie Portman, not like 13-year-old Natalie Portman. So it's very difficult for me to sit through this, but I'm doing it for you, all right? I'm doing it for the viewer, so appreciate that.
I don't fully understand this.
Oh my god, we have to rewind that. I like jumped in, and because of the delay here, no, I have to see this. This is an amazing moment.
I'm a person, and my name is Anakin.
I'm sorry.
This little doofy, angry face. I'm a person, and my name is Anakin. No, that's great.
I'm the only one here about.
I love this. This robot here, it looks like a mantis or something, and it's just moving moving levers back and forth, the same two levers over and over again. It's like, thanks, buddy. You're really helping. You were doing a lot. And you can see it's like a practical effect in the shot, which is great. I love practical effects, but it's just doing nothing. It's not helping.
Credits will do fine.
No, they won't.
And that is an incredibly shady thing to do. What if he actually can't use Republic credits? And he just said, oh no, well, you're going to have to take them, even though you can't use them. It's like, you're going to have to take these Prussian marks or whatever, even though you can do nothing with them, and I'm going to take something away from you that's very valuable. That's incredibly morally questionable, especially for the experienced, supposed to be more wise and trustworthy Jedi. It's one of those things where it's the author, the writer, not really thinking about the implications of the things that he's having his character do. So there's this expectation that, oh, it's a Jedi, he can use mind tricks if he needs to, and they have to demonstrate, oh, no, he can't in this case. Character-wise, they could have just said that, some other character could have said, why don't you just use a Jedi mind trick? And he could have said, well, that's not right. That's morally reprehensible, so I wouldn't do that. But instead, it muddles the character just to solve a kind of problem that could arise in the storytelling.
No money, no parts, no deal.
I'm glad to have met you, Anakin.
Yippee!
Not enough for you to barter with. Not in the amount you're talking about.
And yeah, it's really goofy to just have Obi-Wan sitting on the ship doing nothing for the duration of this whole sequence. Obviously, he could have had a subplot. He could have, been investigating something. There could have been something else going on. He could have been looking for another way, or found out about a rumor that there was a Sith in town, or I don't know, something. But he could have been doing something instead of just sitting on a ship for no reason. That's ridiculous. That's terrible, terrible micro writing.
Uncrunched.
Not likely. We have nothing of value. That's our problem.
Hey.
That's just theft.
Chesko Sebulba.
Sebulba's not really in the wrong.
He picked a fight with a Doug, an especially dangerous Doug called
Especially.
Lisa hating crunching.
This storm will slow them down.
Storm's coming up, Annie. You better get home quick.
Isn't he great? He's not finished yet.
For some reason, it didn't click to me before that there were other 3PO type designs running around. So it's like a Lego set. It's not something that he designed himself, because we had one on the ship, the first ship with the Trade Federation, and then there was another one just wandering around in Tatooine. So it's not all that special.
My parts are showing. My goodness.
Jokes.
It sounds like bait to establish a connection trace.
What if it is true?
Wait, but even so, the Emperor wanted her to sign a treaty, but it's not like just because something was signed under duress, it holds up. It's not like you could just go anywhere in the galaxy and hold a gun to somebody's head and say, oh, sign this. And then when they tell them, oh, yeah, actually, they held a gun to my head and forced me to. Then they're like, oh, well, sorry, that's your signature, right? So sorry, that's just game over, man. That's not how that works. So I don't know why he needs her to sign anything. Oh, probably because she's still in peril for purposes of the movie.
At last we will have revenge.
Do we know what they did to Darth Maul? Like, what the Jedi did? Why is he mad at the Jedi? Why is he wants revenge? What'd they do? Did we get any backstory? I don't think we do.
Blow you up. Boom.
Ha, word.
Third time.
I saw your laser sword.
I think George Lucas actually likes calling it a laser sword more than a lightsaber. Lightsaber is objectively obviously a better term for it, but you just wonder what the popular vernacular is for that kind of a weapon.
I wish that was so.
We're stranded here until we can repair it.
I can help.
Waiting on nothing moolah to trade.
It's kind of odd how during that exchange they had each character, each of the one side characters, Jar Jar and Nicole Kidman and Qui-Gon Jinn, they all offered little pieces of the conversation related to their predicament. Like Jar Jar, what need does he have to chime in? He's just the dumb comic relief character rather than having an actual conversation about the circumstances of things.
I'm sure Qui-Gon doesn't want to put your son in danger. Trusting our fate to a boy we hardly know? The Queen will not approve. Well, I don't approve.
It is a shockingly stupid plan. Just a random boy that I ran into that I think can pod race. I'm now going to bet on him to get the part I need and try to save a queen and a planet that's under whatever siege from the Trade Federation. I mean, it's a terrible plan.
Oh, not bad, not bad. Deal.
What if this plan fails, Master?
There's something about this boy.
There was no father.
Oh my gosh, the pod kids. Yeah, no, this is weird.
Working on that thing for years.
It's never gonna run.
Let's go and play ball. Keep racing.
The one little girl, like the tri-haired whatever girl, is the only one who delivers her line at all naturally. Every other kid is like, what? Oh, you're a really bad actor. Especially, come on, let's go and play ball. I cannot believe there was not another take of that. That's absolute insanity. I love the look of the pod racing. I just don't even care.
What are you doing?
Checking your blood for infections.
Such a liar. He literally just harvested some biological material without the knowledge or consent of the person or the mother of the person so that it could be tested for his Jedi purposes. He does a lot of very morally questionable things throughout this movie. And that's what I mean. If Obi-Wan had been here and he had been like interested in it, he says, oh, Master, this boy has such a high, I could just sense that he's really strong in the Force or something like that. And so we should do this and we should do that. And Obi-Wan or Qui-Gon's really resistant to it. He's like, no, there are rules. We have to follow the rules. But then Obi-Wan does the stuff behind his back, then that would have made more sense character-wise and when it comes to the plot and what eventually happens with Anakin long term. There would have just been more to it. Instead of Obi-Wan just sitting on a plane somewhere and Qui-Gon just seems like a totally terrible person just in general.
Over 20,000.
Even Master Yoda doesn't have a midichlorian count that high.
And they just reduced kind of the mystery of the Force and the Jedi and all that stuff. I'm sure people complained about it, but they reduced that whole thing, which is supposed to be more metaphorical, to, his midichlorian count, It's a good word, actually. I mean, honestly, it's a pretty decent word, but yeah, what are the counts of his midichlorians? That's what determines his magic powers when it comes to the whole Jedi thing. It's not the best. And if Darth Maul can find him so that he could do his whole thing, why don't they just tell the Trade Federation where they are? And so the Trade Federation can send their ships in to take care of it as well. Doesn't make sense. That's just a lot of random stuff scattered around,
I'm sure you'll do it this time.
Do what?
Finish the race, of course.
That is the most ridiculous line delivery in film history. Like the facial expression after he says it is there's so much disdain. He really just did a carpet bombing kind of run when he's supposed to just be a little have a little bit of a question or be slightly annoyed. He went the whole way, and just that was a epic level of disdain on that face after he said that.
A big turnout here from
do not like the design of those guys. The pod racers make no sense like functionally, but I love the design. It's so unique, it's so awesome looking, and it looks cool while they're racing. It looks cool while they're just sitting around. And these have the dirty lived in kind of look to them too. So I just think I like everything about pod racing in general. So I know a lot of people didn't like it, but it was one of my favorite aspects of the movie.
And a late entry, young Apple Boy.
What was that? C-3PO? I never noticed that before. Oh, it's a Bulba.
You scrawny dough pot, Slimo.
Yes, Slimo. And the race part, it takes up a pretty large chunk of the runtime, doesn't it?
You assume too much.
Yeah. Padme's got a point. Major point. Oh no! What's his name? Quadranaris? Because he has 4 engines. Good job. Oh, did he call him? Because he just got called Slimo, so he just called somebody else Slimo. It's like he was so hurt by, or he was like, "Oh, that was a pretty good diss. I'm gonna use that." That's so cool. And Sebulba's has a really distinct sound. There's no way the organizers would let this happen. I mean, that's just not fair. But that's a great shot. Quality slapstick, see? Not like all the other slapsticks so far. So is that 4 laps that they're doing? Or was that just the end of the first lap? That might have just been the first lap. Oh, look at that pass. Kid's got moves. Don't they have some way to monitor that guy? Oh, I love that guy. To monitor that kind of thing. Sick. Of course, there are different ways to do the like rival in this kind of a context, because you can have the rival who is just completely unscrupulous and sabotages and all that, but he's still overcome by your protagonist. Or you can have the rival who respects whatever they're engaging in, whatever their vocation is. He respects that, but he's just really good at it. And he could be a jerk or whatever, but he's really good at it, and he respects his competition, and he respects the game in itself. But that one's more difficult to do, and in this kind of content, like, it would have taken more time to establish, not just a guy who beats up another guy for spitting a, alien food at him or whatever. So, yeah, but that's the way they went with this one. His face when he's doing this. And I don't know about anybody else, but I absolutely love all the little technical stuff that's related to these things. Like, I have no idea what any of those buttons or switches does, or how any of that works, and whether it makes any sense. But it just rang true, and I think it still holds up. You know, what he has to do, and how he has to use the magnet in the one case, and in that case he has to close the thing and then stick this in that and keep hitting the switch, try to light it again. I don't know. It just freaking makes sense to me, and I like it. He just kind of got lucky that it benefited him instead of support. What's his name? I always love that shot too. Like they were gonna do a high five, but they mixed it up and didn't really know what was going on. Hooray, he did it! Willow's not happy.